Hello, welcome to the inaugural viewing of Rob Riffs. In this program, if that's what you want to call it, in this program, I'm going to be talking about something I love, music, and I'm going to be uh, focusing on various artists and their body of work. My background with music, growing up in the 1970s, I grew up around a lot of classic rock. And but during and into the, going into the 1980s, the new wave music, the new wave movement was uh, beginning to flourish, pretty much from like 81 to 85. And I was still into the classic rock scene, but the Tears for Fears and uh, uh, Spandau Ballets, Duran Duran. Um, the vocals all sounded the same to me, but I kind of found that intriguing. But I didn't really didn't dive in to that till much later. In fact, it was 1989. I was at a party, and a friend of mine came up with Simple Minds in the City of Lights, a live record by Simple Minds, and Don't You Forget About Me was on, and I remember equating that with that era. And I remember thinking, man, what a great song that is. And I listened to the album with a guy, and this is really great. And I kind of made a transition at that point to start collecting the new romantic movement and some of the new wave groups of the 80s. Then in 1991, I ended up getting a job out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, as a courier. I would transport material down to Washington D.C. and Northern Virginia, and hang around down there during the day, and come back up late at night with material to drop back off at the some of the firms in Lancaster area. And flipping the dials around one day down there, and early on, and I heard the group Talk Talk, and Talk Talk, It's My Life, and Talk Talk is probably one of my favorite groups from the new romantic movement. And I thought, wow, we're in a metropolitan area here, and maybe maybe this is a station that I would like. It turned out to be a modern rock station. I was unfamiliar with that term at the time. It turned out to be a modern rock station slash alternative. It was probably looked at that type of music as alternative before it was called modern rock, and I think now it's kind of swung back toward to alternative. We talk about alternative today or indie, and was introduced to a lot of groups. And I remember trying to get familiar with all these groups, and there was one voice that sounded to me to be pretty close to a new romantic sound, and that was ended up being Morrissey. And around that time, um, I remember liking a song called "How Soon Is Now." What difference does it make? And learning that, I mean, that was the Smiths, but I wasn't making a connection until a little while later, doing the job, that Morrissey was indeed that lead singer. So I became a fan. Right, became a fan. He, along with about 6 or 7 other groups, which I'll get to as I do these riffs, became big time favorites of mine. So I became I started to make collect those albums and or the CDs. And so what I'd like to do with this is to kind of celebrate indie slash modern rock, alternative, right, alternative music, both old and new, both old and new. And I'd like to include with this, tributaries to this, maybe late 70s punk, of course, 80s new wave, and the certainly the new romantic movement, and include some um, electronic music into this. as well, maybe a little bit of dance music. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be focusing on, um, in you know the time ahead. Today, though, I'd like to, as a fan of Morrissey and the Smiths, I'd like to talk about Morrissey. I collected. I'll tell you what time. I'm going to talk about a particular time period. I collected Morrissey up until 1997. 1997, he came out with an album called Maladjusted. And as much as I like Morrissey's writing, much as I like his writing, he's very humorous, very clever. I he I, it was he has a shtick, I guess you could say. I hate to say this, like I'm loyal to him, but a shtick of me, you could say maybe "Woe is me, woe is the world." And it's the title track when Maladjusted came out. I thought, I'm not really into this right now, and I never picked up Maladjusted. I never bought it. And this is late summer, early fall, 1997. And he never put anything out again until 2004. And in that time, my life changed. Career change. I had children, and I moved. I moved to a very rural area where I didn't have access to types of radio stations, that would be playing modern rock, alternative, right? So I didn't have access to hearing any new music from Morrissey. And during that time period, 1997 to 2004, really didn't put anything out. I think he had some health concerns at the time. I know he had a legal issue with former Smiths drummer Mike Joyce, a lawsuit, right? There's some rumors of maybe, I'm calling it a hiatus, right? I'm going to call it a hiatus, 7-year hiatus. Some people will call it a retirement. But by the time 2004 came around, his first record was I Am the Quarry. By the time, like I said, by the time the Quarry came out, my life had really changed and lost touch with a lot of Morrissey's music. So just in the last 5 years did I get reacquainted with his body of work since Maladjusted. And in fact, he just released a record, I guess about 3 weeks ago. Certainly within the last month, I believe it was. But I thought about doing a riff as I was going through all that music recently. Doing a riff on the Maz's post hiatus period, 1990 or 2004, up to the present. And what I did was I created a rating scale. And this is what I will do. I created a rating scale from 1 to 5. Like 5 is perfect. 5, you're scaling the heights of the musical arts. 4.5, I mean, you're getting there. You're getting there. It's really, 4, pretty good, pretty solid. 3.5, decent. 3 is okay. Then 2.5 is average, and under that, is right? To you just can't listen to it, right? Something you don't enjoy, right? The 2s and the 1s. When you get to 1, you're getting into the Rod Stewart "Do You Think I'm Sexy" territory there, right? And hopefully there's not too much of that anywhere, right? But that's certainly beneath Morrissey. So I'm going to mention, I'm going to go in chronological order from the Quarry up to the present, and I'll mention the high points of each recording. And I will say this too, I have all my music digitally, so I can't, 90% of the time, I'm not going to be able to hold up a, an actual disc. Now, when I riff on the Maz's pre hiatus music, I'll have some to have some discs to show you, but since it's digital, just have to bear with me. Let me start off by looking at I Am the Quarry. And get my ratings here. Here we go. I Am the Quarry. I Am the Quarry. Actually, when I went through this, had one song that made it as high as 4. One song that made it as high as 4, and that was I'm Not Sorry. Everything else was, I mean, there was only one song I had on here that was less than 3, right? Average. That was the first one. America Is Not the World. Right? I think part of that was, I mean, it wasn't that great of a song, but I think part of it was, to me, as a historian, I look at the British, and I think they've done as much damage around the globe as anyone has, in their foreign policy. And it seems like, to me, it seems like sometimes they get into these lecturing tones toward us. And I know we're not perfect, but I'm thinking the last people that should be doing that are the British. And Morrissey, not too much, but he blasts U.S. foreign policy and politics at times. And America's Not the World. He's got some points there, but I thought, maybe you ought to shut up. Besides that, I thought the music was kind of average. But yeah, outside of I'm Not Sorry, I'm the Quarry, it was, a lot of threes, and and when it funneled out the final rating for the whole record was a 3 for You Are the Quarry. So a little better than average. The next album that came out was in 2006. 2006, and this is called Ringleader of the Tormentors. I like the cover, blue and black cover, has Morrissey in the front playing a violin. Came out in April of 2006. Tormentors starts off with a song I think is, I gave it a 4.5, and that is I Will See You in Far Off Places. I give that a 4.5. Tormentors for me didn't have anything less than a 3. There's only one other song on here that I gave a 4 to, and that was, to me, You Are a Work of Art. A lot of 3.5s, right? Some 3.0s. It kind of clocks in for me a little bit higher than a 3.0, 3.2, right? A 3.2, just a little bit higher than Quarry. 2009, he put out Here's a Refusal. Here's a Refusal album cover, him on the front holding an infant. February of 2009. This one here, actually, this album, it's kind of funny. Here's a Refusal has my highest score post hiatus. It was a 3.3 for me. However, there was nothing here that reached a level of 4.5. I have Black Cloud as a 4. I'm Throwing My Arms Around Paris. I have that as a 4. It's Not Your Birthday Anymore. Kind of a sad song though, but the music's really good. And I'm Okay by Myself. That really rocks out at the end. I have that at a 4. And like I said, this funnels out to 3.3, and this is my highest score for the post hiatus period. Then there was a 4-year layoff for the Moz until 2013, and came out with World Peace Is None of Your Business. World Peace Is None of Your Business. The title track sounds like it's questioning the motives and the the efficacy of world bodies like the United Nations and maybe the World Health Organization. Okay, and I remember thinking, yeah, maybe he's getting it, right? Maybe politically he's getting it. World peace is none of your business. Funnels out to 3.1 for me. Title track, World Peace is None of Your Business. I have that as a 4. Istanbul, I think, is top shelf song here, 4.5. Really done well. Staircase at the University, sad song about a girl who commits suicide because she's not getting all A's, right? Her parents are putting pressure on her, and she winds up committing suicide. But the music's well done, and everything else. Nothing under 3.0, right? A lot of 3.5. So decent songs and a couple really good ones there. 2015 was low in high school, or 2017. I'm sorry, 2017. Low in high school. In fact, World Peace is None of Your Business is 2014. I said it was 2013. 2017, November, late 2017, low in high school. And low in high school has nothing that reaches 4 as far as I'm concerned. I have 4 songs that reach 3.5. My Love, I'd Do Anything for You, I Wish You Lonely, fairly decent songs. Spent the Day in Bed is kind of the hit off the album. I have that, at a 3.5, and everything else 3.0s. Fairly steady. Now there's some bonus. There was some bonus material that was included in on this. So if I include the bonus songs, High School comes in at 2.7. Funnels out at 2.7 for me. That can't be, yeah. Or 3, all right, 3.0. Funnels in at 3.1. I'm sorry, 3.1. When I factor in the bonus songs, it comes up to a 3.2. One of the bonus songs, Lover to Be, if I include that would reach a 4 in my scale. Lover to Be. Then in 2019, a controversial album put out by Morrissey. Oddly enough, not because of any of his lyrics, because none of them are his lyrics. It's cover tunes, California Sun. And California Sun, I wouldn't mind it that they're cover tunes. One thing you can say about Morrissey, he sings every line with such conviction. He always did. And I would be a little nervous about having him do one of my songs if I was a recording artist, because he does that. He just sings with such conviction. He really means it. The problem I have with this album is the songs he picked, and I hope I'm not offending anyone. I don't mean to do that, but Lady Willpower, Wedding Bell Blues. I mean, it just seems it just seems beneath the power that you would expect Morrissey to want to project, with so many other options out there. But these are things he probably likes, right? So who am I to judge that? I just personally, a lot of it didn't do it for me. And then some of the other ones were, Lenny's Tune, Suffer Little Children, Only a Pawn in Her Game, Bob Dylan, right? It's Over, Roy Orbison, right? The high point on this, which was kind of funny, I've always thought that Joni Mitchell, growing up in the 70s, I always thought Joni Mitchell was kind of the Flannery O'Connor songwriters. You know, as a woman, it was almost not feminine. Just Joni Mitchell was never a I broke my fingernail type of girl, and I always thought that Mitchell and Morrissey were two the twain will never meet. And lo and behold, off of her Hissing on Summer Lawns album, there's a song called Don't Interrupt the Sorrow. Just a tremendous songwriter. And he does it. I was so delighted, and I thought, just that song alone might be worth buying the album. And he doesn't disappoint. Like I said, he just sings with such conviction. He does such a tremendous job on that particular song that I gave that a 4.5. That went up to a 4.5. But the rest of the album, lingers around, around 3. I have a couple there, Wedding Bell Blues and Lady Willpower. You just average 2.5. Right? Kind of brings the score down a little bit. Kind of funnels out to again a 2.8. California Sun really doesn't do it for me for the most part. And then the last disc released 3 weeks ago. I was really looking forward to this. I'm Not a Dog on a Chain. I'm Not a Dog on a Chain. And I think when this came out. Yeah, March 20th. March 20th. Yeah, certainly less than a month ago. He released Bobby, Don't You Think They Know, back in January, before the record came out. Love Is On Its Way Out was released as a single as well. And then Knockabout World. So we had 3 singles out before the album was actually released. Jim Jim Falls. Jim Jim Falls, 3.5. Pretty decent song. Love Is On Its Way Out, 3.0. Fairly decent. Bobby, Don't You Think They Know, average 2.5. And I think just because it's Morrissey, I have a hard time giving him something less than an average. That and the title track, I'm Not a Dog on a Chain, really bring the album down. I have those both at 2.5. Some fours. What kind of people live in these houses? Some good guitar work there. And Knockabout World, which is his single right now, I think are decent songs. And then Darling, I'll Have a Pillow, Once I Saw the River Clean. Yeah, 3.5s. They're not bad. And he finishes up the record, The Truth About Ruth, The Secret of Music, and My Hunting Days Are Gone. Some of that sounds like it could be on his first record, Viva Hate. Not bad. Kind of melancholic. And kind of shakes out to 2.5, my lowest ranking, even lower than, even a little bit lower than California Sun. Even a little bit lower in California Sun, which I was surprised about. Boz Bohr is on this. Trying to think of some of the band people on this. Boz Bohr. Boz has been with him since Your Arsenal back in 1992. Different cast of characters. Actually, different cast of characters in the last 2 albums. Morrissey generally, had his touring bands with him when he would go into the studios. So there you have it. Again, just from top to bottom, Years of Refusal, World Peace Is None of Your Business, the Tormentors, third, You Are the Quarry right behind it, and then you have pretty much neck and neck there, California Sun, and the last 2 here, Dog on a Chain. So there you have it. Look forward to some posts And you take it easy on me if you don't agree with me. We all interpret things differently. Thinking about just thinking ahead here about the next artist I might be looking at here, and thinking about looking at maybe the psychedelic furs coming up. When I was down in Washington working, and those 2 years as a courier, I you know came about what I call my big six, right? My big six. I was thinking about who are the groups I really like, and psychedelic furs have been one of those. I kind of equate Morrissey, the Smiths, and Johnny Marr's solo stuff, which is excellent. Mr. Marr, we'll have to get to him too. I have never heard anything less than good from him. I'll really be raving about his material. But if you haven't heard these records, these recordings, do check them out. And again, I apologize. I have these only have these digitally. So see you next time on my next riff. Thinking about the psychedelic furs, I don't know, that could change. So talk to you then. Bye bye.